Well, good morning, everyone. It is really great to be here today. And I have to say, when I think of 6+ years ago when I arrived with NJ Transit, in full crisis mode, facing a world of immediate problems. I think we were at war with Amtrak from before that. Just a world of pain. But in talking with Governor Murphy, despite the immediate problems, he talked about creating a capital plan, New Jersey Transit, that we did not have at the time, a 5-year capital plan. But he particularly wanted to get Gateway moving again, getting the Gateway program moving again. And he particularly looked at where we could help out and really get it going. And that was starting with Portal North Bridge, which is a poster child. Any of us who have been riding it for years, poster child of a decaying system, and the bane of so many of us commuters, as a Portal Bridge. So I first want to thank and acknowledge the tremendous support we have received and continue to receive from Governor Murphy, not only on this project, but on more than 60 active New Jersey Transit projects advancing through our system today. Now, I'd like to take a second also to thank some very special guests we have here today. First, from our congressional delegation, I am pleased to welcome Congressman Bill Pascrell. Congressman. And admittedly, one of our hometown secret weapons, Congressman Rob Menendez. Thank you very much, Rob, for everything. It was certainly great when I was testifying in front of the T&I committee a few weeks ago to have Robin up on the dais there. Thank you very much. And, of course, my favorite Congresswoman and great friend of Navy football, Mikey Sherrill. Mikey. We are so blessed to have a powerhouse like a delegation like this in Washington that really helps make all this possible. Without the federal funding, this doesn't happen, and there's a lot of competition for federal funding. So again, thanks so much to all three of you. I'd also like to thank our acting commissioner of NJDOT and my board chair, Fran O'Connor, a real great addition. Fran, thanks. I don't know what he did wrong in his youth to come out of the private sector to join us, but God bless you. Thank you very much. And certainly Amit Bose, serious Amit, FRA administrator, thanks so much for taking the time to come up here. There's no press here, I understand, so Amit, I think it's all right to say that we feel a hometown advantage since you come from New Jersey, but I won't let that get out in the press. And then certainly a longtime colleague and Amtrak's chairman, Tony Kosha. Tony, thanks for everything you've done. Not just with Amtrak and New Jersey Transit, but going back to the Port Authority, the dredging the harbor. So much of what is we are benefiting in this economy in this region from his work that Tony has been doing for well over 30 years. So Tony, thanks so much for that. And then we, as anybody knows, nothing for us gets done without the Federal Transit Administration and the Regional Administrator, Mike Collada. Mike has been been a rock for us, picking up. Steve Goodman left him a mess, but all again, Steve. But Mike, thanks so much for all you do. I'd also like to thank all those elected officials who are joining us and all of our project partners, including those from SCANSA and many others, important stakeholders today that apologize for not being able to list you all, but thanks for everything. We wouldn't be here without you. And I would say, we have the screen blocking it, but if you've been outside, I think, just to look at the construction activity taking place, the hundreds and hundreds of thousands of jobs that this project is generating. And today we are celebrating the 50% completion mark in less than 2 years since many of us were here for the official groundbreaking back in August of 2022. We're also celebrating that this project of national significance is both on time and on budget. And I'm pleased to be able to demonstrate for New Jersey Transit that I think is really important. There's a myth that you can't do big projects, mega projects, in the Northeast region on time and budget. They're always years delayed and billions over, and we are proving that wrong here with this project. In fact, I mentioned, there was the fighting back in the Christie days with Amtrak, and the progress we have made with our partners with Amtrak, particularly Stephen Gardner, has just as an ally, has been really remarkable, and I think this is a testimony to that cooperation. And in fact, I think Steve and I have been looking at, if we're on time, on budget now, and with contingency, I'm even willing to put it out there that we may be able to deliver this project even under budget. So, I don't know if I'll be here to be able to settle up on the final true-up on this, but I think there's even the potential, if we get the kind the cooperation, the outage, the flag, and we get everything right, good weather, that I think we can even bring this project in under budget. So that's a goal, whether we do it or not, but to not be worrying about doubling over costs. I mean, that's just a whole different psyche that we're seeing with this project and with the teamwork that we have here. But getting back to the construction progress, as you can see, the girders are now mostly in place, and the bridge is really looking like shaped like a bridge. In fact, the project's moving so quickly. I think we're looking for a potential another event at the end of this year to celebrate the installation of the 3 center spans, which will really be incredible. At that point, the basic structure of the bridge will be complete. They're being built up just south of Albany right now. They'll be floated down and barred, and there'll be 3 huge spans that will be right behind the bridge. That will then be the new bridge. Obviously, there'll be all the rail work and catenary, et cetera, that come with that. So be prepared for another event sometime in later this year, early next year. Before wrapping up, I'd like to also point out that this is for New Jersey Transit Stroll, this is the largest construction award in our agency's history and the largest active progress in our capital plan. And it really is part of the transformational set of rail improvements that not only will spur, it's not just transportation for transportation's sake, it really will spur economic development and deliver safe, reliable service finally for all our customers crossing the bridge. This is not a 20-year project. This is a once-in-a-century kind of project. So thanks for everyone involved. It's something hopefully you can still long be proud of years later, even when we're all retired. With that, it is my pleasure to introduce our first speaker today, as I mentioned, Acting Commissioner Fran O'Connor, and our board chair, Fran.
Thank you, Kevin. I want to extend a warm welcome to everyone here today. But in particular, I'd like to express my gratitude to the working men and women who are literally moving this extraordinary project forward. Today, with the strong support of President Biden and Governor Murphy, New Jersey Transit proudly reaches the 50% completion mark on our Portal North Bridge replacement project. It's difficult to overstate the significance of the Gateway project to New Jersey Transit, to our region, and most importantly, to the millions of customers who ride along this bridge every year. For starters, New Jersey Transit has now reached the 50% completion mark on the project that has created nearly 15,000 jobs and adding $1 billion to our local economy. A new Portal North Bridge will also add capacity to and from New York, which is important because we need to ensure that we are not just meeting today's needs of customers, but we're preparing for the demand of the future. With a growing population and transit-oriented development spreading rapidly throughout our state, New Jersey Transit and its partners continue to believe that transit ridership will return to and even surpass pre-pandemic levels sooner than people realize. We must prepare for the ridership today, and by building a new Portal North Bridge, we are doing just that. New Jersey Transit is planning for the future in many other ways as well, thanks to no small part to the foresight and leadership of President Biden and Governor Murphy. When you combine these region-changing projects with all the other Gateway program elements now possible through the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act, I think it's fair to say that together we will fundamentally transform transit. Once again, my sincere thanks to all for helping New Jersey Transit reach this historical day. And now I'd like to turn it back over to our Master of Ceremonies, my friend, Kevin Corbett.
Thank you, Fran. Now it gives me great pleasure to formally introduce our next 3 speakers, the 3 members of our delegation that I referred to. And they have just been such great advocates for tireless efforts to really keep transit and our whole economy here going. With that, I'd like to start by calling up Congressman Bill Pascrell. Congressman.
What a great day in Kearney, New Jersey. Beautiful day. I want to pause for a moment, to think of my brother who would be here, Donald Payne. He's on the T&I, and he really thought a lot about the projects in our area. So just a moment to remember his input. And I remember just a few years ago when we were turning the shovel, so to speak. So just a moment. Thank you. New Jersey's own Bon Jovi sang about being halfway there. But we're not living on any prayer. The bridge is a reality. It really is. Just take a look. So my brother from Paterson, my friend, Tom Kosher. We go back many years, Tom. And if it's good, you had to be a part of it, as well as the other commissioners. It's a 114-year-old bridge. See, we think in America everything's supposed to last forever. It doesn't work that way. So the infrastructure legislation that was passed not too long ago needed the leadership of the President of the United States, Joe Biden, who never gets credit for what he does. But it's here. And it would not be here unless he was the president. And Rob and Mikey will tell you, the leadership that he's presented for our review in the Congress has been excellent. Howard Taft sat in the White House when this bridge was built. And the New York Giants played baseball at the Polo Grounds. Remember that? That short Alvin Dark used to hit home runs in right field. It was so short. How many family dinners have been lost by delays on this bridge? How many sports games were missed when mom or dad got stuck here? The primary purpose of government, I hope they're listening in Washington because we go back to that nut house tomorrow. The primary purpose of government is to improve the daily lives of our neighbors. Two kinds of people go to Washington. One is to save the world. The other is to save your block, your community, and your district. To make it a little better when you leave. That's it. We make it complicated. You're looking at us. We make it complicated. When it is soon finished, that's a beautiful sound. This new bridge will better the lives of millions of our neighbors because of all of you. That is not hyperbole, that's a fact. The unions that helped build this, that's a fact. We put people to work on something we needed. These days, we're celebrating beautiful projects all across America. Thanks to the historic bridges and roads, the law passed by the historic 117th Congress and President Biden. The new bridge in Baltimore Harbor, the Gateway Project, and all the roads and bridges to our national future will be erected by working Americans through strong government support. I want to close with something. Leadership matters. For years, opportunistic politicians here in New Jersey and Washington blocked us. They let this vital project collect dust for selfish reasons. Tell them I said so. Garden Staters paid the price. All that changed. President Biden and Governor Murphy, our delegation in Congress, and state leaders have worked hand in hand. We made this a priority, and we have it delivered as a team. Government works best when it works for the people. The progress we celebrate today is evidence of that, and the sun is coming out, I promise. I cannot wait to be here to cut the ribbon to this great road to our state's bright future. God bless you all. God bless the greatest country in the world. And God bless the people who worked and did the project. Have a great day, everybody. God bless you.
So the next congressman, as I mentioned, T.I., who's been a great supporter for us. Rob, I know it's tough speaking after the congressman. I'm glad I got to go first, but please come on up. Thanks for everything you have done.
Thanks, Kevin. And, Bill and I both represent Kearney, so it's an opportunity for us to jointly welcome you to this great municipality and the incredible work that so many people have been involved with. This is truly a sign of partnership. Federal level, state level, partners with our brothers and sisters in labor, and shows that we can do great things. As Kevin mentioned earlier, we need to replenish our appetite for taking on these big challenges. We need to show people that no matter where in the country we are, even in places like the Northeast, we can do great things if we do it together. That's what today is about. Doing something like this, of this scale, on time and on budget, is a testament to the partnership, to working alongside of each other. It's a testament to our brothers and sisters in labor. This is an important opportunity to remind all of our friends in the private sector that if you want to get something done on time and on budget, build union. I also want to join Bill in all the work that we do is built upon the work of others. I have the opportunity to serve this district on the Transportation and Infrastructure Committee, and I did so, and I've served alongside an incredible friend and mentor who's no longer with us, but days like today are an opportunity to remember him, and that's Donald Payne Jr. He's been a leader on these types of projects. He's been a leader in Congress in delivering not just for his district, not just for New Jersey, but for the entire region. And today is a great day to honor his memory and his legacy of delivering. And I just hope that I can continue the torch forward, to continue, now that we're 50% of the way on this project, to see it to its completion, and every step of the way be guided by Don's principles. So I'm thankful for Bill for recognizing Don, and I'm thankful for the entire delegation, Mikey, who's here today, for all the work that they did in the 117th to make today possible. We're going to continue to work with the Murphy administration, continue to work with the Biden administration to drive this project forward and to its completion. So thank you all so much for the incredible work that you do.
Thanks. And last from the delegation, I mentioned Congressman Mikey Sherrill, and we banter as good Navy people, not insulting any of our Army friends who are going to be losing this December. But seriously, and we look forward to having the Army-Navy game back again next year, by the way, thank you, and that, with transit. But seriously, for anybody who knows Mikey, you don't get to be commissioned out of the Naval Academy, be a helicopter pilot for the Navy, and despite having, you can be pleasant and civil, but you don't mistake that pleasantness for an inability to focus and deliver. And certainly Mikey is a great example of that, both for us in transit, but I think for the whole state. So Mikey, please come on up.
So refreshing. Whenever I go to Picatinny Arsenal, I have to hear all about Army football. So this is great. I'm really excited to be here. What a wonderful day. It's so great. You know, my husband takes New Jersey Transit into the city all the time and has watched and commented on the building of the bridge. He's constantly updating me on the progress. He can't believe how quickly it's moved. I think we've seen the results of New Jersey getting involved. We've seen the results of Amtrak Joe Biden, who really wanted to see this project done, and the fights that we've had for years, when in the previous administration we had Infrastructure Week every week and yet couldn't seem to move forward on these critical projects. So this has been truly wonderful, and it wouldn't have been possible without so many of the people in this room right now. Amit Bose, Kevin Corbett, Chris Calori, Tony Kosha, Michael Collada, Fran O'Connor, and of course my colleagues Rep. Pascrell and Menendez. Let's give a round of applause to everyone. I mean, we've taken more glass front train rides to look at the tunnels and to talk about the Portal Bridge. We've talked incessantly about somebody with a hammer having to knock the bridge loose to try to open it. Everyone who has taken a ride into the city on numerous occasions gets that sinking feeling in your stomach if you're already, you know, cutting it tight for a meeting when you hear that we have signaling problems. I mean, that can be a 15-minute delay. That can be an hour delay. It's never quite known at the time. So really, to get our modern infrastructure built is critically important because, as you heard, you know, it's not just the difference between whether or not you make it home for dinner or whether or not you make it home for a kid's soccer game. It's the difference right now between whether or not you even try to coach a soccer team in your hometown. Because in too many occasions, it just becomes impossible when you can't count on reliable service. So this is truly a momentous occasion. I also just have to, as we say in Congress, associate myself with my wonderful colleagues, Bill Pascrell and Rob Menendez, here today as they've spoken about what an impact our friend Donald Payne had on this. This is the first transit event I've been to without him. And it truly does leave a gaping hole, as we know so well in the fight that he's had for years to see this through. So this is wonderful. This is truly a cause for celebration. As you heard, we have so many wonderful things coming up in New Jersey. We need to get transit right. So whether it's the 250th birthday of our nation, or the FIFA World Cup, or, as I know everyone's truly focused on, the Army-Navy football game in 2026. These are all the things we have to be ready for, and the people in this room are going to make sure we are. So thank you so much. I sincerely appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Congresswoman. Now, as I said, none of this would be possible without our federal partners. Majority of the funding for these projects comes from Washington, and certainly, obviously for the IIJA bipartisan infrastructure. But the rubber meets the road through our federal agencies, and certainly Amit Bose, as I mentioned, also my fellow co-chair on the Northeast Corridor Commission. I just have to worry everything from Washington to Boston when I'm with Amit. He has the whole country, but still what he does for New Jersey and is doing for this region, both as the head of the Federal Way Administration and as a co-chair of Northeast Corridor, is very much appreciated. So Amit, if you'd come up and say a few words.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you to NJ Transit for inviting me to be here and for organizing this great event. And thank you to Amtrak. I want to thank President Biden, Governor Murphy, Secretary Buttigieg, and I want to recognize the senators and House members who helped to make today possible. And being here with the strong Northeast Corridor representatives, Pascrell, Menendez, and Cheryl. It's a pleasure. I want to give special recognition to House Railroad Subcommittee Ranking Member Donald Payne Jr. He was a fierce advocate for rail safety and rail all across the country, particularly the Northeast Corridor. We at FRA will miss him. His legacy will continue on this and many other significant rail projects. The Federal Railroad Administration is proud of the Portal North Bridge's progress. It's great to be here today with our partners at NJ Transit, the Gateway Development Commission, New York, and colleagues from across the U.S. Department of Transportation to mark the halfway point on this project of national significance that will reduce disruptions and delays while increasing train speeds as well as the reliability and safety for trains. In the not too distant future, the Portal North Bridge will no longer be known as a major choke point on the Northeast Corridor, but rather as the link that it really is, connecting people and communities across the East Coast. U.S. Department of Transportation recognizes the importance with investments from several DOT programs over many years to replace the current 114-year-old swing bridge here in New Jersey. Of course, the Portal North Bridge shares the distinction of being over a century old with several other bridges and tunnels along the Northeast Corridor. And now, thanks to President Biden's bipartisan infrastructure law, we are finally making progress to replace and upgrade these aging structures. I can't overstate the role of the partnership between NJ Transit, New York, and Amtrak in reaching this milestone. It's also the cooperation from the 8 states and the District of Columbia who comprise the Northeast Corridor Commission that Kevin and I co-chair. They put forth a joint Northeast Corridor capital program, and drawing from that joint work, FRA recently issued its second Northeast Corridor inventory and will issue its second federal-state partnership Northeast Corridor funding solicitation imminently. This cooperation will allow for increased speeds, reduced travel time, and more reliable passenger service for hundreds of thousands of Americans. Just last November, FRA announced more than $16 billion in grants for 25 projects of national significance up and down the Northeast Corridor. In New Jersey, that included assistance to replace the Sawtooth bridges, rehabilitate the Dock Bridge, construct the Delco Lead, and improve Newark Penn Station. $3.8 billion in FRA grants made possible by President Biden's bipartisan infrastructure law are also going towards the rehabilitation and expansion of the Hudson River Tunnel between New York and New Jersey. Today is another reminder of the progress that's well underway to modernize and improve America's busiest rail corridor, which is a national asset. It's a reminder of what we can achieve when we invest in critical infrastructure and work together as partners in a collective effort to deliver important and critical infrastructure projects. I also know today is just the beginning. More groundbreakings and project milestones are ahead. With 5 years of total funding from the bipartisan infrastructure law, there are still many more investments to be made, with more opportunities to meet the needs of the Northeast Corridor and 21st century travelers. I look forward to continuing to work closely with so many of you as we continue to modernize America's busiest rail corridor, tackle long-standing infrastructure needs, and deliver the world-class passenger rail Americans deserve on time, on budget, and safe. Today technically kicks off Infrastructure Week, but as the President has said many times before, this is the infrastructure decade. This is particularly true for rail, and I am confident, thanks to the President's investments, we will see and feel a clear difference in rail infrastructure in New Jersey and along the Northeast Corridor. Congratulations and thank you for your time. Now, I'd like to welcome my colleague, Mike Collada from the Federal Transit Administration.
No, Amit, that was too polite of an introduction for Mike Collada. Seriously, I'd just like to say, certainly on this bridge, as I mentioned what Governor Murphy said about getting a 5-year capital plan and actually making the reality, coming up with a state share of the money to make this project really reality. We also put together a capital plan, and where the rubber meets the road for us on so many of those 60 projects and everything from our bus to particularly here, but is with the Federal Transit Administration. And Steve Goodman, who's here, came in, was great in helping us and really putting that plan together and helping make sure we had the agreements necessary so that we can get this. Dealing with a project of this size, all the federal agencies, state agencies, DEP, EPA, you got a whole laundry list. To get a project like this moving is no simple feat, and where the rubber meets the road is at the regional level here. And certainly when Steve, Mike was at Steve's side the whole time, but yeah, I have to say, Mike, Steve, with Mike, you did a great job, Steve, but Mike has raised the bar even higher. So I have no doubt. Mike, I can't thank you enough for all you do for New Jersey Transit and for all the riders and citizens in New Jersey. So please come on up.
Well, thank you for both of those introductions, Kevin and Amit. And good morning, everyone. On behalf of Federal Transit Acting Administrator Veronica Vanterpool, U.S. Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg, and the Biden-Harris administration, I would like to thank you all for being here today as we celebrate New Jersey Transit reaching the halfway mark on the Portal North Bridge project. It's a historic milestone. It's a very big deal. And I would like to acknowledge and thank everyone who has touched this project and helped move it forward. None of this would be possible without the hard work, dedication, and commitment of New Jersey Transit President and CEO Kevin Corbett and the entire New Jersey Transit team. Kevin, thank you for your leadership in reaching this phase of the project, which, when complete, will replace a critical piece of transportation infrastructure here in New Jersey and benefit millions of people who travel the Northeast Corridor every year. You're writing the new playbook for delivering these mega projects on time and on budget, and thank you for all your work on this, Kevin. I also would like to congratulate Fran O'Connor for taking on the new role of acting New Jersey DOT Commissioner and New Jersey Transit Board Chair. I'd like to thank you for your work in helping to keep this project moving forward, and I also would like to thank you for your strong commitment to safety. I'd like to recognize Amtrak Board Chair Tony Kosha and Stephen Gardner and the entire Amtrak team, which has been a major partner with New Jersey Transit on Portal North Bridge. Congratulations to Amtrak also on hitting this historic milestone. I'm delighted to be joined by my federal partner, Federal Railroad Administrator Amit Bose, and the New Jersey congressional delegation led by Congressman Pascrell. I love the reference to Bon Jovi. Congressman Menendez and Congresswoman Sherrill, thank you all for your support for public transportation, and I know we are all thinking of your late colleague, Congressman Donald Payne. I'm sure he would have loved to be here today. Finally, I'd like to give a huge shout out to my colleague and partner at the Gateway Development Commission, Chief Executive Officer Chris Kaluri, who we are all keeping very busy with the larger Gateway program and a new tunnel underneath the Hudson River. Thank you, Chris, for being such a strong partner with the federal government, and thank you for all of your leadership. I was here with Secretary Buttigieg 2 years ago when we broke ground on Portal North Bridge, and he emphasized how consequential this piece of infrastructure really is. That a failure or delay on this bridge can be felt as far away as places like Indiana, and that this bridge supports commuters who contribute to 20% of the economic activity in the United States. When completed, the new bridge will improve safety and provide more reliable service for over 29,000 commuters every day. Today's achievement reflects years of vision, collaboration, and working closely with us at the Federal Transit Administration. And speaking of FTA, I would like to thank my team, the staff at FTA, and those at the Federal Railroad Administration who have worked tirelessly to ensure this project's success. Many of them are here with us today, including our lead engineer on this project, Sheldon Soilian. Portal North Bridge is representative of public service at its best, and that good government can get big things done. Portal North Bridge is a signature project in the Federal Transit Administration's portfolio. Since 2021, FTA has provided $5.65 billion in federal funding to New Jersey Transit. and FTA is proud to support the Portal North Bridge project with its investment of $926 million, including funding from our Capital Investment Grants program. These funds have contributed to the creation of thousands of new jobs to design, create, and construct the new bridge. And today would not be possible without the dedication and hard work of all the labor that is on the job site, pouring concrete day in and day out, making sure that we keep this project running on time and on budget, and laying the foundation for future mega projects like this one. The United States Department of Transportation and the Federal Transit Administration want to continue to be partners in supporting critical transportation projects in this region, which we know are essential to improving safety, efficiency, resiliency, accessibility, and the overall rider experience. We recognize how important these infrastructure projects are to workers and residents in New Jersey. And when commuters begin to cross the new Portal North Bridge, it won't just be another stretch of concrete and steel over the Hackensack River or another choke point on the Northeast Corridor. The new bridge will be an access point and a portal of opportunity. Today's milestone represents another example of how the federal government is investing in transit infrastructure and improving how we serve people in the region. With President Biden's enactment of the historic bipartisan infrastructure law, we have even more opportunities to support transit needs across New Jersey and New York. I look forward to many more events like this one today, and I'm very much looking forward to the day when we can cut the ribbon on the new Portal North Bridge project and break ground on a new tunnel underneath the Hudson River. In closing, let me just say that on behalf of the Federal Transit Administration, I again would like to congratulate New Jersey Transit, Kevin Corbett, Governor Phil Murphy, and all of the elected officials who are gathered here today for all of your efforts in getting to the halfway mark on this historic project. I'm honored to be here. Job well done. Thank you, Kevin.
Thanks, Mike. I mentioned earlier our partnership with Amtrak, and I also mentioned Tony Kosha, going back for what Tony's done for this region, going back when Tony and I started dealing at the Port Authority back in the 90s. And, I mentioned with Congresswoman Cheryl about kind of people who can be nice on the outside but never lose focus on delivery. And we deal with very complex topics, from the federal government to state government to all the local issues involved. And no one navigates that with more aplomb and effectiveness than Tony Kosha. And having Tony as chair of Amtrak has been a huge boom for Amtrak, for the nation, but particularly for New Jersey and New Jersey Transit. Tony, please come up and say a few words.
Thank you, Kevin, for that great introduction and sharing with everyone here the sort of obvious fact that I am old. No, it's phenomenal to be here today, and frankly, in part because I'm one of the people who can remember when we started conversations about replacing the Portal Bridge and all of the headwinds that we faced, and all of the people said, oh, you're not going to be able to get that done, and it's too complicated and too much money, and we went through a whole bunch of different sort of challenges in order to get there, and frankly, we were able to overcome those because of sort of what you're witnessing here today, which is that a number of different leaders from different parts of both government and the operating entities sort of came together and realized none of us are going to do this by ourselves. We are not going to build this bridge alone so we can sort of stand at the peak of it and say, I did this all by myself. We all have kind of embraced the idea of doing it together. I mean, we have two federal senior officials here today who were big partners in doing all of that, as opposed to the historical level of sort of tension that existed between us. Government operating at all different kinds of levels and doing it in cooperation is the reason why we're here. Now, 50% is a pretty remarkable accomplishment on any project, because it sort of means you've gotten to the top of it and now you're sort of on the descent to landing in a good place. And you've already heard Michael and Amit and others talk about the progress we've made and being on time and being on budget, creating that kind of efficiency. I mean, when you think of the idea of basically 12 million pounds of steel 50,000 cubic yards of concrete. There are 400 workers here on a daily basis working, and what I am really particularly proud of is that we have an unbelievable safety record. Virtually zero lost time due to safety incidents. At the end of the day, those of us who are charged with being responsible for large capital projects, we want those phenomenal women and men who go to work every day with those hard hats to go home at the end of that day in the same way that they showed up. And clearly this project has been a demonstration of that kind of accomplishment. Now, we talk about, Portal Bridge North, and it is part of, as has been mentioned here already, a much bigger suite of projects that are part of everything from the Gateway program that we know, and as you know, and Chris Kalori is here today, we've already initiated work on the Hudson Tunnel project on both sides of the river, and our expectation is, and I know we're joined by a number of our colleagues here, but our expectation is that we are going to, within the course of this year, initiate some other very major milestones on moving forward the Gateway program, the Hudson Tunnel program in particular. I want to point out my two colleagues on the Gateway Commission board who are here today, our chair, Balpreet Grewal-Virk, and also Janine Bauer, two people who have committed an enormous amount of time to keeping us sort of on that pathway toward accomplishing the Gateway program, which will be and is the largest significant, impactful infrastructure program in the United States. I mean, there aren't superlatives that I could provide that would adequately capture the difference it's going to make in people's lives when we build this mega project that is going to have an impact on everyone who's looking for a one-seat ride and connectivity and be able to sort of create the kind of modern four-track system that exists in most parts of the world but doesn't exist here. And believe me, as the chair of Amtrak, when everyone travels to Asia and Europe, etc., for some reason they feel as though the first thing they need to do when they land at the airport is call my mobile phone and explain to me that the trains in other parts of the world are much better than they are in the United States. As if somehow I didn't know that already, But in any event, I appreciate the sort of scouting, and I will tell you that, because of people that have been mentioned here, and I'll mention three who are not here in particular, Joe Biden, Chuck Schumer, and Pete Buttigieg, we are reversing that trend. Amtrak this year will invest $5.5 billion in the nation's transportation infrastructure, in their rail infrastructure, and that's part of a $50 billion program over the next decade. I promise you, and our CEO, Stephen Gardner, is here, and he joins me in this promise, I promise you that within this decade, people will think back to 2024 and say, wow, remember how trains used to be at that point. We are transforming the way train travel happens in the United States. We're creating a level of mobility from intercity rail that has not existed for decades in this country. And it's because of the leadership that has been willing to make that kind of investment. Think about what we're doing here today. There's on average one train every 3 minutes that goes over this old bridge that's behind me. Now, that makes it one of the busiest, if not the busiest, rail train in the Western Hemisphere. One train every 3 minutes over a bridge that was built 114 years ago. Now, which genius thought that was really a good plan? Of course there are going to be problems. The fact that there are outages, when you don't keep up with investment in infrastructure, it deteriorates. And that has an impact on service. It doesn't matter. You have to sort of do those things. And what you see here today is basically a group of people who have said, stop, we are not doing that any longer. We're going to make the investments that we need to make, and we're going to reverse this trend of underinvestment and create that kind of a new operating environment. Now, there are many, many people to thank for all of that. Clearly, Governor Murphy, and I know he was there with all of us at the very beginning, stuck his neck out very far, made one of the first big initial investments in this project at a time when, frankly, there was some question as to whether or not all of the resources to build it were possible. He deserves an enormous amount of credit for having done that. Our congressional delegation who's here today, Congressman Pascrell, Congresswoman Sherrill, Congressman Menendez, I've worked with all of them for many years on this project, on many other projects. Their level of commitment to this, as well as the balance of our congressional delegation, is unparalleled. They were with it at each step of the way. and I will join the chorus of those who have, who have sought to remember the incredible work of Congressman Payne. I will tell you that those of us at Amtrak who know that when we do something that isn't quite what we should be doing, and heard from Congressman Payne about it, our commitment to his legacy is not to wait for that phone call, but to address all those things. So we will honor his memory by following up on the things that we know he cared deeply about relative to a number of different things that affected people, not just in his district, but throughout the country. I want to call out, of course, New Jersey Transit for the leadership that they've shown here. Fran O'Connor, Kevin Corbett, you guys have been rock stars on this project. We do work all over the country. We know what partners are like. We know the difference between good partners and not so good partners. And so, we're really honored to be your partner on this project because we think you've really stood out. I mentioned already Mike Galata and Amit Bose, phenomenal partners on the federal level. They are people who look at problems and try to find ways to solve them. They don't fold their arms and say, not my job, or tell us to sort of repeat something. They are there with us as active partners in all of it. And then finally, I couldn't not thank the unbelievable family and team that I have at Amtrak, beginning with our CEO, Stephen Gardner, our head of capital plant programs, who's unfortunately not here today, Laura Mason. She may be one of the busiest human beings on the planet right now, as we embark to build literally projects up and down the East Coast, around the country, a new fleet of trains that will replace virtually every train you ride on in the Amtrak system. We are investing billions in the future of this country. And we take that responsibility with a very, very solemn commitment to do for you what has been done in terms of placing that trust in us. So with that, I would again express my gratitude to all of you for being here. We are 50% done on a very important project. We will be 100% done at the time and place that is scheduled to happen. And there's many other things that I know we'll be celebrating in the future together. Thank you very much.
Tony, thank you so much and so well said. Obviously, as I've said, this is an exciting project for all of us at NJ Transit, but it is just a smaller part of a bigger puzzle, and hopefully we're kicking off that bigger puzzle as well. And it's not just transportation for transportation's sake. A batch of us are transportation geeks, we admit it, but it's really about the fundamental underpinning the economy, for the quality of life for people. And Tony, as you hit on, this isn't just infrastructure. This is the center of global commerce, global capitalism, this region, and we need to have 21st century. And it's not that our people don't know it, not that our leadership is being given the tools, and we're very blessed right now to have those tools. But as I say, Portal is a great start, but it's just there's a lot more to be done to really complete, to make this region competitive on an international scale and deliver for both the citizens of New Jersey and the region. And that responsibility falls on Chris Kaluri as the head of the Gateway Development Commission. And Tony, I have the most gray hair. You're getting a few. And I hate to tell you, Chris, another 5-6 years from now, we'll have a before and after picture. But thanks so much for stepping up. Come on up.
Thank you, Kevin. I could have sworn my hair was very black when I first started this job, but that was only 2 years ago. 2 years ago, standing here with all of you when you broke ground on this project, I was sitting there wondering what the hell I was doing taking this job, that I was so privileged to be given by Tony, the governor, and Balpreet and Janine Bauer. But in the last 2 years, what I have come to know well is what all of you have known for a very long time, which is these are not projects we build for a year or two. You build for the next generation and generations to come. And I'm so privileged to be here to advance a small part of the Gateway program. The 10-mile corridor between Newark and New York Penn Station is, I think, the single most important mass transit corridor in the country. And the fact that for the first time, in 114 years, we're about to build not only the Portal North Bridge, but the very first tunnel under the Hudson River, tells you a lot about the commitment that not only Governor Hochul and Governor Murphy have made, but our congressional delegation. You had Congressman Baskerell, Congressman Menendez,
and Congresswoman Cheryl, along with our senators on both sides of the river, have really committed to making sure this investment means something for generations to come. I just want to say that the Hudson Tunnel project, which is, as Tony correctly said, is currently under construction on both sides of the river, is about making sure that we have a resilient system. That's what the Gateway Development Commission is going to be doing. I'm a little jealous, though, Kevin, that people will get to see your bridge, but people don't get to see what I'm building because it's about 160 feet onto the ground. But regardless, both these projects are hugely important. Let me just close with two things. One is, Mike Collada said it, and he's been an amazing partner along with Amit Bose. These projects are about portals of opportunity for people to come, our children and our grandchildren. Second, we are truly in a Goldilocks zone environment. We will never have an opportunity like this ever again, where the federal resources and the state resources have come together to advance critical projects that have languished for 20, 30 years. And here we are at this moment. So the fact we're here celebrating this milestone, which kicks off many projects to come, is something that we should grab a hold of and should capitalize on it. That's what we're trying to do with the Hudson Tunnel project, and we're so happy you have made the milestones you've reached so far, and look forward to supporting you as you go forward. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Chris. Great note to close out the speakers on. We're going to go out for photos out in front, but before I understand from Anthony, there'll be a couple of press Q&As that's to take up from here. And Tony, do you want to come up just as a partner? I never speak to the press about